Imagine for a moment when the world roars with weapons, when economies crush one another, and when technology widens the gap between man and his own soul. In the midst of that noise, a soft, eternal voice continues to call. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. It is not merely a phrase. It is not just a recitation. It is a cosmic vibration, a spiritual cry from the depths of the human soul, pleading not for power, not for ego, but for a straight path, a path that transcends all things, a path that leads home, into the pleasure of the divine. This is where the spiritual urgency of our time lies. Peace is no longer a diplomatic choice. It is an eschatological imperative, a call to prevent the collapse of conscience, a call to halt the foretold devastation embedded in prophetic warnings, now echoed by the global crises of today. The apocalypse may not come as a meteor, nor as nuclear war. The apocalypse may come in the form of collapsed empathy. Amidst the fog of artificial intelligence, we face not only a loss of direction, but also a paralysis of conscience.
Well, the Trump administration has imposed sanctions on Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur for the occupied Palestinian territories. Albanese has been critical of Israel's war on Gaza and has called for international pressure on Israel, including through sanctions.
This is not a conflict. This is not a war. It's not an escalation of violence. It is intentional ethnic cleansing, which is entailing genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity.
Look at Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Palestine, whose truthful voice about a slow-motion apocalypse was treated as a threat by the so-called champions of justice, so threatening that she was sanctioned for telling the truth. And this is where Prabowo'S descends, from its divine heights, to restore the ethics of civilization, not just to guide rulers, but to correct the path of global leadership itself. This is a story of a revolution, a Sufi awakening that stays geopolitical foundations. It is a fusion of divine vision and strategic form. It is integrating Islamic mysticism and global strategy, a philosophical study on Prabowo'S geopolitics. As a President Prabowo'S doctrine, one enemy is too many, 1,000 friends are too few. But non-alignment does not mean blind neutrality. Prabowo'S subianto strengthening of strategic relations with NATO members such as France and Turkey, and his full membership in the BRICS, his approach is marked by warmth toward the United States while simultaneously preserving balanced bilateral relations with Russia and China. His friendly posture toward Japan and the Netherlands, despite their colonial legacy, his solidarity with neighboring Australia, and his leadership within ASEAN all reflect a diplomatic vision rooted in the Wasathiya doctrine from the outset. In South Asia, Indonesia continues to maintain a traditional friendship with Pakistan and, notably, with India, the world's largest Hindu-majority nation, even receiving invitations to participate in major military parades. At the same time, Prabowo sustains intimate ties with Gulf states under the framework of Islamic Brotherhood, including with Iran and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. He has spoken out boldly in global forums, including the United Nations, unequivocally condemning Israel's brutal military actions in the occupied Palestinian territories, while upholding Indonesia's firm commitment to the two-state solution. At the headquarters of the European Union in Brussels, President Prabowo urged the resolution of the long-delayed CEPA agreement, which has been stalled for almost a decade. He brought both global concerns and national interest to the diplomatic table, emphasizing the importance of strengthening people-to-people connectivity and fostering collaborative innovation between nations. The geopolitics of Wasathiya belongs neither to the east nor to the west. It walks the middle path with balance, dignity, and wisdom. A light rises not to seek power, but to offer guidance, not to compete, but to heal. Therefore, don't be afraid. God will guide in His time when the leaders of the world are finally ready. Assalamu alaikum.